I would like to thank you for attending today. Today is April 26, 2018, and this is the In the Know monthly update webinar that is for U.S. region QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Online accountant content. My name is Wayne, and I'm going to be your host today. I'm a service and support specialist, a senior service and support specialist in Tucson, Arizona. I work on the national accounts team. Now, I've been supporting accountants and their clients for 18 years. 10 of those years have been with Intuit, and the last 3.5 years with the national accounts team. And I have a passion for improving processes and saving time, which is why I love the In the Know webinar, because that's the presentation or the content that we like to present to you, to let you know how to save time. Now, today's agenda, we're going to go ahead and cover the CPE process and any learning objectives that we have. We have some announcements that we're going to go ahead and be discussing about training and resources and feedback. Additionally, we're going to talk about some QuickBooks product updates, whether it's QuickBooks Online Accountant or QuickBooks Online or anything from the Intuit ecosystem. Today, we do have quite a bit of information about the QuickBooks Online Accountant practice management. We're going to be talking about Slack integration into QBOA. We're going to be talking about creating projects and tasks for firm work and permanently removing clients from your client list. We are also going to be hearing from a presenter about the Connect to PayPal app. We have some exciting changes about that I think you're really going to be excited about. Periodically, as my listening audience, you will see this screen that talks about that this is computer audio only and that there's no dial-in phone number. This is a great opportunity for you to engage the question log, to type in your questions. So remember, if you see the screen, let that be a trigger for you. Hey, I need to ask a question. We'll leave the screen up for a minute. I just want to also remind you, those questions that you ask will be answered and posted to the In the Know webinar hub page within 7 days. Feedback that you provide is delivered directly to program managers. And all of the topics today are a direct result of the feedback that you've provided to us about the program or your experience with the program. Let's go ahead and talk about the CPE credits or the CPE process. In order to receive your credit, you must answer all of the polling questions throughout the training. Polling questions will be open for enough time to make sure that you can get them answered. 1.5 to 2 minutes. And I will announce those polling questions. You'll see a slide that says the poll is coming. So you'll have plenty of opportunity and plenty of time. Now, this webinar is eligible for up to 1 CPE credit. It means you have to answer all the questions and be here for the duration of the event. The CPE certificates are emailed directly to you within 3 weeks of training to the email address that you registered under. So it's important that you log in or that you're checking that email address as well. Now, you might want to add to your spam filter in your email, accountant_training@intuit.com as an approved sender to make sure that that doesn't get filtered out. If for any reason you don't see your CPE credit and you believe you should have received that, please send us an email to intheknow@intuit.com, and I'll look into that and see where that might be. Our CPE learning objectives today. Identify recent updates and new features added to QuickBooks Online. Integrate Slack communications into practice management. Organize client lists by permanently removing former clients. Identify pro-advisor training opportunities and options for CPE credits. Assist QuickBooks Online clients with new Connect to PayPal app. And summarize updates regarding report organization in client companies. We're going to take care of a couple of resources for pro-advisors before we get started into the updates. These announcements are about opportunities for you. This is a training opportunity that we have through Accountant University or QuickBooks University. There are free training events, many that provide CPE credits, whether they're webinars or virtual events or in-person training. It will definitely be worth your time to take a look to see what is available on this site. That's at www.qbtrainingevents.com. Now that link will be provided to you in an email at the end of this. You'll be receiving an email. Also, these links are all available in the handout for this event. So if you download that handout, it's a PDF document. The links are clickable within that handout. Now, while you're at that qbevents.com website, there's that link that says QuickBooks Tutorials. It's up the upper left-hand corner. If you were to click that link, it takes you to another page where there's more training opportunities. So if we were to click there, what you would see is QuickBooks Tutorials. Now, the important thing about this is it's broken down into two sections. You have small businesses and accountants. What that means is it's not only more free training for you, but also you could provide that link to your clients to provide them an opportunity to take some training offline where you are not responsible for running them through their training. It's self-paced and they can go ahead and run through that on their own. It's a great opportunity for them to expand their knowledge about using their program, which will make them more productive and your job easier in helping them. We also have the QuickBooks Accountant Help Hub. It's a support site dedicated to providing support articles that you need and to provide them quickly. Make sure you visit this page and save the link. The link will be provided in the handout. It will also be in a follow-up email, and in that handout, it is a clickable link in that handout, so you may want to download that document. Speaking of the handout, it is on the control panel. When you logged in to GoToWebinar, there's a little GoToWebinar control panel that has popped up, and on that control panel, there's a little image of what looks like a document with a folded corner. If you click on that tab, there should be only one document in there. It's a PDF of the document, of the slides for today's presentation. You'll have a slide and you'll have all of the links or necessary notes underneath each of those slides. One of the other things I wanted to talk about and let you know about today is, as we were talking about feedback, as we're soliciting your questions to be added to the question log, there's also the QuickBooks Online feature requests site. Most of the program features updates you see during the End-to-Know webinar are a direct result of your feedback. This is why you hear me constantly reminding you to provide your feedback in the questions window. So this resource is pretty amazing. If you go to the website, which the link will be provided for you in a moment, you have options. So as you can see, the first thing you see when you land on this website is it lists out topics, and whatever has the most amount of votes is listed immediately underneath that search area. So you can see I've highlighted the more options to customize invoice and sales tax templates. You can see that it has 6,931 votes. You can also see that we've started to make progress on that according to your feedback, and that the team has actually replied to explain where we're at in the process. This is a great area to go and get feedback or to provide new feedback ideas. Part of that, if you're going there to search for a specific topic, you just go ahead and in that I suggest you, it's a little search field, you type in audit log, for example, and you can see that it pulls up the 3 articles. There's actually more than 3, but it pulls up the articles that has to do with the audit log, and it puts the one with the most votes at the top. What that does is it allows you to review that topic. If it matches exactly what you're asking for, then you just click that vote button. So the squeaky wheel gets the grease. This is how we know that most of our customers are looking for something. So you might want to make sure you utilize that. And again, that's going to be at feedback.qbo.intuit.com/forms 198,198. Now that's in the handout. Again, it's a clickable link. I don't expect you to write that down, and that's why the link is not on the page. If you go to the handout or wait for the email, you'll have access to that information. Considering that we were just talking about feedback, I'm going to go ahead and remind you one last time that your questions, when you type them in here, they do go directly to project managers. They do go directly to the customer experience team. They do get in front of the people who are most likely to be able to take traction on those. So please make sure you're entering your questions in that. Now we do have some program updates today. I'm going to move through those fairly quickly. 4 of them for QuickBooks Online, and again, that Pro Advisor training. So we have redesigned invoice templates. This is really exciting. Prior invoices, when you would email them from QuickBooks Online, were very generic. The old invoice email is on the left-hand side. You can see that it would have the invoice, the due date, and the balance due. But to see the details of the invoice, you would have to click the invoice button. In the new invoice experience, using the new templates, customers can see all of the detail. They get a very personalized opening. They can see the amount that's due. They can see the details of the invoice, subtotal, discount, depending on if those preferences are selected to use. And it's branded with the company. In fact, the templates, as they're created in QBO, if they're customized with colors and logos, that flows through to the new invoice experience. And it's scalable. So if they're looking on a computer or their phone, it's gonna look and feel like what you're seeing here on the right-hand side. We also have a progress invoicing update that is now available to all QBO subscribers. We first previewed this in October of 2017, and we're proud to announce that progress invoicing is available to 100% of QBO companies. This means that you can do multiple invoices per estimate. Now, you can see that on the estimate from within QBO, you'll see 2 linked transactions, and you'll get a list. I've shown both of those invoices there, kind of to attach to the prior announcement. Also on the mobile device, you can see that there's an estimate summary that can be sent out to those customers as well if that option is selected in settings. To find out more information about this, make sure you click this link that's available for you in the handout. QuickBooks Online, another update we have is the ability to set up bank feeds from the chart of accounts. I'm sure you're all familiar with this screen. This is setting up an account. So if you're setting up a bank account or a new checking account from the chart of accounts screen, you would have to have it as a bank account. This is the only account type that works currently for this new feature. What you'll see then in your chart of accounts, that new account appears, and if you click the drop down in the action column just to the right of where it says view register, you'll see you have a connect bank link. The reason that is now you have the ability to connect that feed directly from the chart of accounts instead of having to go out of chart of accounts, click on banking, and then go through that process of being able to connect accounts. So this is an improvement that's been requested by our customers, and we wanted to put that into action for you. The QuickBooks Online new reports landing page that we've organized the commonly used, or provided a way to organize commonly used custom reports. Now this is a pre-recorded video from the project manager, and I'm going to go ahead and launch that video.
Hello and welcome. I'm very excited to showcase our brand new reports landing page experience. This will be the very first thing you see when you click on the reports tab to the left. We hope that this new landing page will improve your ability to discover the reports and insights you need to run your business in QuickBooks. I'd like to showcase a number of new features that we've rolled out. First, the favorites. This gives you the ability to favorite the reports that you run the most so that they always stay at the top. If you click this star here, report will move out of the favorites. And if you want to favorite a report that's down here, you click this star and it'll move right into the favorites. Another feature we'd like to showcase is the question mark here. Click this question mark and a short description will appear underneath, showing additional information about the report. We've also made a number of changes to the groups. You now have the ability to expand and collapse the groups. We've also refreshed a number of the group names with more natural language. Additionally, you can run a report or customize a report directly from this overflow menu right here. We're really excited to roll this out, and we're very interested in what you think. So please leave us feedback in QuickBooks Labs by clicking here on the Tell Us link. Thank you so much.
It says adding value as an accountant. What you find in there is your role as an accountant for a self-employed customer, best practices for year-end and best practice for quarterly taxes, and preparing year-end taxes. That's some of the training that's available in here. Now, as I mentioned, the pros for this, it's available 24/7. You don't need to sign up for a live event on a specific date and time. You can access the information when you need it on your schedule. Now, one of the cons at this time is that no CPE credits for this training through the Pro Advisor link are available, but we are in the process of making that happen. Now, I wanted to raise this point to you. We had talked about QuickBooks University. Currently, if you're interested in QuickBooks Self-Employed Training and would like the CPE credit, there's a training available tomorrow from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific time for QuickBooks Self-Employed Specialty Training, and it offers 2 CPE credits. It's a 2-hour course. The link to that event is in the handout. If you download the handout, you'll be able to get to that link. You'll be able to sign up for that training. There is still room available. We have the all-new Connect to PayPal app, which is, again, that new way of importing your PayPal transactions. Currently, you have a way. Well, we've found a better way to import those transactions that provides a seamless interaction. And today, presenting this topic, we have Brandy Black. She's with our partner and developers team. She's a senior customer experience specialist, and she has a passion about connecting our customers to our ecosystem, the Intuit ecosystem or the QuickBooks ecosystem, to make sure they're taking advantage of all opportunities they have. Brandy's been with us for 6 years at Intuit, and she works here in Tucson, Arizona. Brandy, thank you for presenting today.
Thank you guys so much. Today I wanted to take some time and talk a little bit about the PayPal and QuickBooks Online connection. So as many of you know, we currently have 2 types of connections for PayPal, one being the bank feeds and one being the Sync with PayPal app. And although they both bring in PayPal transactions, they complete this task in vastly different ways. So over the last year, our product team has worked diligently to create a platform that allows our data in apps to present the transaction data just like bank feeds does currently today, so that our user then can have the ability to have more control over what is added to their books, and of course how and when, which I get to show you. So today, with that being said, I get to present to you the all-new Connect to PayPal app. So we're going to get rid of those, and we're going to start new. So with that, you now have the best of both worlds. We listen to your feedback about our current connections, how they work or don't work, and we decided to build an app with the best features from bank feeds and the Sync with PayPal app. So now you can review each transaction just like the bank feeds, allowing you to have more control over what is added to your books, also including how and when, which I'll get to show you. I'm really excited for. On the banking screen, you will also see the gross and net sales amounts, along with the fees related to each sales transaction. So there's no need to bust out the calculator to see what fees belong to what transaction. And this also makes reconciliations a lot easier for you. The PayPal fees are automatically recorded now for you in their very own expense account, so there's no need to map them anymore and do a specific account and wonder if things aren't going to go into the right space. Basically, we've got all the accounting done for you. And last but not least, you now can see the details of each transaction with a simple click of the button. So let's take a peek at some of the screenshots before we actually jump into a live demo today. As I mentioned, you'll now be able to see all of your PayPal transactions here on the banking screen, along with the other transactions you are waiting your approval to enter your sacred books. We understand how much pain it was for our customers when they had multiple transactions just automatically recorded into their books. We were just shoving them in there from PayPal. It made a huge mess, and it was very hard to clean up. So we heard you loud and clear, and we now know that accuracy is way more important than speed. So a few key features that are new for this app specifically and are currently not part of the bank feeds feature are: 1, you now have the ability to choose to record income transactions as either a sales receipt or a deposit. Secondly, with a click of a button, you can view and edit any additional transaction or details before adding them to your books. And lastly, as a nice little perk, we now provide you with the link to easily refer back to the original transaction in PayPal. Note, you will have to actually sign into PayPal in order to view the transaction, since it will be pulling up in the PayPal website. So with that being said, we're going to jump into a live demo, but I'd like to make a couple notes. So in the live demo today, one call out is that, as I stated earlier, or as you might have seen on the screen, Product and service items are synced and included in sales receipt. However, for the sake of this demo, I'm using a test account. It currently does not have our product and services set up. So you'll notice that it will just say PayPal sales as the item, which will then include the description of the item, it'll then include the PayPal item name in the description. So if you have any clients that have this set up but their products and services have not already been set up within both systems, this is how it would appear. But we at least include that description so that you're not losing any kind of detail there, bringing it over from PayPal into QuickBooks.
Brandy, I think you need to change your screen there.
Yep, no, I'm getting to my All right, so now to jump into our live demo. Here in QuickBooks, as you notice, we're under the banking tab, and you'll see it just like a normal bank card on the screen. Now, as we scroll down, though, you'll notice a couple different changes or things that are a little different than your normal bank feeds. And like we talked about, you'll see your net amount and your gross amount here, which by just hovering over the amount, you'll be able to see the breakdown fairly easily without having to click into that. So when we click on this here, oops, my apologies. We'll be able to be presented with the 3 different features that I pointed out that are new to the PayPal app specifically, which are not located in your normal bank feeds. So here we have the option to switch from sales receipts or a deposit, depending on how you'd like to have your income recorded. If you notice here under the sales receipt, the income account for your PayPal sales will be recorded at the gross amount. And then down here, you'll notice that it also includes the PayPal fee within that, giving you the gross amount here. In addition, we can also view the details of this sales receipt and or deposit before we even add it to our books. So let's take a look. And this is here what the sales receipt would look like when bringing it in. So no more just shoving it in. You now get to see it before you actually add it. Like I noted, you will see PayPal sales here because I do not have our product and services set up. Typically, if they were set up in both and matching in both systems, PayPal and in QuickBooks, the name of the item matches. It will automatically pick that up, and it will include it here in the product and service, giving you a description of whatever you have placed in your PayPal invoice. And of course, just like Sync with PayPal, we kept the option of keeping the transaction ID and the link here in the memo field for those. Now from this page, if I wish, I can go ahead and save and add here down at the bottom. Or if I'm truly not finished and not sure what I want to do yet, I can close out and come back to my banking screen and add it simply from this page here. I also then obviously have the option to select my payee and make any changes as necessary. So let's go ahead and add that, and let's see what it looks like. So we now have had it added. We'll go back into our In QuickBooks tab here and check that out. So you'll notice it's actually added to a deposit. What happens in the back end is that a deposit is created with the sales receipt, the fee, and everything all together, giving you a net amount deposit into the account so it's easily reconcilable with your bank account. So let's take a peek. Here you'll notice we have the bank deposit with the exact same transaction number listed from your PayPal account, so easily referenceable or referable. We also have our expense here, which typically does not have a payee or a name associated with it, but we do have an expense transaction that we can click into, as well as the sales receipt listed here, giving us our net amount, which was listed at the top and underneath the 2 transactions. Now, if we wanted to look at what a deposit would look like, instead of just a sales receipt, maybe we want to, add that in as a deposit versus a sales receipt. We're not looking for that kind of level of detail, and we just want it to be broken down into line item or lines in a deposit screen. We can then choose that option as well. So we can select deposit here and select an income account. At this time, you'll only be able to select one income account, of course, for this, which will then include all of the line items on the receipt to be added to this income account. So if I look at the details before adding, you'll see here all of them are encompassed into one line item for the service amount. So we'll go ahead and we will add this. Go ahead and bring that back. We'll add it as a deposit. Simple as that. So no more, scrolling through hundreds of transactions that came in that you weren't sure of how they were going to actually appear, sifting through them in your sales tab or anything like that now. Now you have complete control back with the detail. I do want to show you one other thing here in what a deposit would look like if it had multiple items and or attributes to the sale. So if I was to add as a deposit and I had a tax amount and a shipping amount and discount and such, you would see them broken down here within the deposit, unlike the one that you saw previously. And they all are added to the service account, except for the fees, of course. That is automatically always going to be mapped to a PayPal fee expense account for you, which we have created and mapped automatically. So just be aware that if you are selecting a deposit and you select the one income account, it will mark all the lines to the same account, and you then have the option to come in here and categorize them as necessary. So I hope everyone is pleased with this and really excited for the new Connect to PayPal app as we've tried to take best of both worlds, bring them together, and keep what worked best and what we'll be adding in the future to include additional features that are not included in the current connections. So to give you a little bit of a knowledge about, when is the availability and the new features that will be added and going forward, currently right now, Connect to PayPal app is available to everyone in the US. We will be rolling it out globally once we are able to have this app. We're just ironing out the fine details of supporting multi-currency. So that's the one thing that right now it is not supporting is the multi-currency as well as multiple accounts. We would like to build this app up to support multiple PayPal accounts so that you can connect multiple to one QBO account. However, in this moment, we are not able to do so. So what we would advise you to do is connect the bank feeds connection for the secondary account, which I have included that direction in our Connect to PayPal guide, which is located in our community and should be available within the handout for those URLs. And there's also a very nice article that's been written up with FAQs, as well as a how-to on switching from the bank feeds to the new Connect to PayPal app. So if you're looking to make that switch, there's a nice article that will walk you through how to do so and any questions you may have in switching. So at this time, we will go ahead and switch back to questions.
Awesome, Brandy. Thank you so much for that presentation.
Yeah.
I do just want to reinforce the links that Brandy has provided for this topic are available in the handout. There are 3 separate links, all of which she mentioned. So please download that handout. That'll have a lot of great information and answers to a lot of questions. Now, Brandy, we had a lot of traffic on this and a lot of questions have come in. So I want to remind everybody that all of these questions will be answered and posted to the In the Know webinar hub. The FAQ page. If we don't get to your question during the live event, that question will be there. Brandy's going to be providing those answers within the next couple of days, and we'll get that posted within 7 days. So, Brandy, but with that, I do have a couple of quick questions that did come up.
Sure.
One of the questions was to connect for the Connect to PayPal app. Now, is that available only for the QuickBooks Online product, or is that going to have desktop functionality as well?
That is only for the QuickBooks Online product.
All right. Great. And another question that we had that seemed to be pretty common, if we have a client that has a large amount of transactions, I mean, I'm talking in the thousands, tens of thousands, 20 thousands of dollars each month, are there any limits to the app or what the app can do?
No. The only caveat I would say, or it's something to be mindful of, is when connecting the app, if you are looking to bring in historical transactions that are not in the QuickBooks account already, you can import up to 18 months, and in doing so, it will stage themselves on that banking screen for review, but may take just a little while to populate all of them and sync all of those transactions, depending on how many transactions you actually do per day and how far back you go in the history.
Excellent.
So for instance, if you're doing 50 plus a day, times that by 30 a month, and then you're going back 18 months, it could take a couple hours for those to kind of settle in and present themselves for review.
Awesome. Thank you. And this is live now in program. Is that correct?
Correct. For the U.S. customers, it is currently live. You can find it in our App Store in the Apps tab, and accountants can connect and set this up for their clients. It is an app that they're capable of doing that on behalf of. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Brandy, thank you so much for presenting today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
So as I was saying, our next presentation is on QuickBooks Online Accountant Practice Management. There's 3 subtopics in here, so we're going to move fairly quickly through this. And today, who we have presenting for us is Michael Hitchcock. I'm just going to make sure we advance to the next slide so we can see Michael. He's a product manager, or the product leader for the QuickBooks Online Accountant Practice Management. And he has a passion, or he's very passionate about helping accountants embrace the cloud to manage their practice. Michael's been with us for about 4 years. He lives in San Francisco, California, and works in Mountain View. And Michael, thank you so much for presenting today.
Hey, Wayne, thank you. I'm having a little headset issue. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. Sounds good.
Okay, great. Awesome. Hey, so glad to be here, everyone. Really excited to tell you about some of the enhancements we have coming for QBOA practice management. And without further ado, I'm going to jump right in. So I want to always start with what we learned from accountants, just to ground everyone on why we are building up practice management the way we are inside of QBOA. So before we went on this journey, before we launched work in QBOA last May, we got really close with accountants, observed them as they work, talked to them, and there's 3 big pain points and 3 big learnings that we had. One was that an accountant's work is completely deadline driven. And I got to tell you, the number of deadlines that you folks deal with on a day-to-day basis just completely blew our minds. The second was that accountants use all sorts of tools and processes to try to create structure and have standard operating procedures with their firm. And really the intent there is to ensure that nothing's falling through the cracks, because of course there are real consequences when something does fall through the cracks. The third thing we learned is that those tools that accountants use to manage their work, whether it be a whiteboard, a filing system, to-do list, Excel, a third-party tool, none of them live where accountants do the actual work. So the challenge is, as soon as you actually go do some of the work, now all the tools are out of date. And so what we heard from a lot of accountants is, yeah, it's so much work just to manage all these tools that I actually brought in an admin to help out with that. So these are the 3 big learnings that grounded us as we established our vision and our mission for practice management. So that mission is to give accountants complete confidence that nothing will fall through the cracks without creating a maintenance burden for their team. In our vision, where we want to go with practice management is we want to create one place, and that's QBOA, for accountants to manage all your clients and all your work across all your services. And when we say all your services, we're thinking about books, tax, payroll, and third-party apps. Great. So now that we've grounded a little bit in our mission and vision, let's go ahead and jump into the Slack integration. So what we've heard from accountants, especially those who have adopted practice management for their firm, is they really expected us to launch this with notifications. And so I think this verbatim from one of your peers, I think, really captures it well for me, which is my team is telling me they're not receiving notifications when I assign them work, which tells the expectation is that it's supposed to come with notification. And it makes it really hard for me and my staff to switch to QBO work. That's kind of the from. We've actually rolled out a beta, so we've had this integration in the hands of a few dozen accountants for a couple months now. And some of the things we're hearing now is wow, we were actually able to switch from Basecamp and Dropbox to this, and it's going to save me over $400 a month. So things like that are just music to my ears. So I'm really excited about this. So talking specifically about the capabilities and features of this integration. So essentially, Slack serves, for those who aren't familiar with Slack, just bear with me for a moment. I think it'll become a little more apparent during the lab. But essentially, Slack is an app that enables collaboration with your team. And so what we've done is we're essentially using Slack as a notifications engine, or as a notifications channel, pardon me. And so the way this works is that when work is assigned to your staff and when someone modifies a project or a task, we send a notification through Slack and we put it in a relevant channel and tag the relevant folks on the team. We also support reminders to ensure that you're never going to miss a big client deadline and to enable you to check to see how a given project is progressing against the goals. And as far as release timing, as I mentioned, we have a beta. We are going to start rolling this out today. We're going to start with just a small percentage of firms, and over the next few weeks, everyone will be able to have access to this integration. So here's just a quick screen capture of what this looks like. So those of you who Slack, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because we have an exciting live demo coming up. So I'm going to jump right into that demo. So right here, you're looking at a QBOA account. So this might look a little different. This is actually an Australia account. If I click on the Work tab over here, we'll see that there's this access point here that's telling me about the Slack integration. Ooh, you know what? Pardon me. Bear with me for a second. I want to disconnect this so I can properly show you. My account wasn't prepared. I apologize. Okay, so now we're going to check it out. We're going to check out Slack here. So when I click on that access point inside of QBOA Work, it brings me to the flow where I'm actually going to connect Slack to my QBOA account. There's an opportunity right here. If I don't already use Slack, I can click this to create a workspace. For my fictional firm here, we already use Slack for internal communication, so I don't need to click Create Workspace there. I'm just going to go ahead and click Get Started. So of course, before we actually make the connection, we've got to get some consent. And so if I click the button here, we're going to see this little Slack dialog that's going to pop up. And so it is asking me to connect my Slack account to QBOA. And so I can see that my account name is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that over. And now I've just got to log in. Oops. All right. So now you can see this is just a consent that Slack requires for QBOA, the QuickBooks app, to start posting in your Slack channel. You'll notice that right now there's this ugly yellow message that says the app hasn't been approved. The reason that we're not rolling this out to everyone for a few weeks is we're just waiting for that approval process to go through with Slack. Just a matter of time before that happens. So I'm going to go ahead and click Authorize. So now we've got the app connected. I can click Set Up My Team to get everything set up here. And so the first thing you'll notice is that we need to do some team mapping. So inside of my Slack app, I've got everyone who's at my firm. So I'm Rebecca. I've also got Adrian, Bruno, Chris, and Lilibeth on my team. The really cool thing that happens here is we're able to automatically map your Slack users to your team inside of QBOA. So you can see that everything matched up automatically. I'm going to click Next. Now I've got to set up my channels. So this is going to determine which channel the notifications from QBOA post to. And so I'm going to pick a generic one. You know what? I don't have a channel already set up for QBOA, so I'm just going to click Add New. I want to make this a private channel because this is manager update. So this is only going to be for you know, the managers at my firm who are going to see those things. So I've just created a private channel inside of Slack. And then for client-specific notifications, I want them to show up in my client-specific channels because these are all my clients, and all the information about a particular client is posted in that channel so that only the team members of my firm see that information that's relevant to them. So you can see everything automatically mapped. It looks like there's one that did not. It's got a little bit of a different name, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. If I wanted to, I could add new channels from here as well. But so now I've got my team mapped, I've got my clients mapped, and I can click Save. Perfect. I'm all done. So now you can see that the Slack notification just popped up. And this is the channel I just created for general notifications called Manager Updates. You can see that it's private. And now I can see that the QuickBooks app is now posting here. So you can see that Slack is now connected, project notifications and reminders are going to show up here. So now, how does this work? I'm sure you're asking. So directly from the work dashboard, I can assign work. I can also reassign work. So the first thing I'm going to do is on this piece of work, I'm going to reassign it to Lilibeth. And you'll notice that a notification came through. And so because this work is for Angela's Antique Market, or client, this notification is showing up in the channel that we have specific to this client. And you can see that all the information about that particular piece of work is posted right here in the Slack channel. So I can see that who the old assignee is, who the new assignee is. I can see what the name of the project was. In fact, there's even a deep link in here that I can click if I wasn't already in QBOA, that I can click that will bring me directly to that project. So you can see that right there, opened up the project. I can also change the status here. Let's say that someone in my firm is actually blocked. They're not able to make progress on a particular piece of work, and they want to signal that to the rest of the team so they can help get unblocked. You can see that a new notification came through here for Lilibeth. You can see that it's color-coded to inform that, hey, there's a problem here. We're blocked. Why don't I go ahead and update a date on Evers Organics work. I'm going to change the date. And as a firm manager, you know, this is something you want to be aware of when your team is pushing out dates on work. And so you can see that once again, directly in that client channel, I can take note of the fact that the due date has been changed. One last thing I want to show you is that with the Slack integration, we also mentioned reminders. And so you can see that there's this little toggle right here for turning on Slack reminders. So, and I can actually choose this date here is anchored to the project due date. So I can actually say, hey, 3 days before this is due, notify me. And what we've heard from accountants is that this is really useful because this enables them to track how the work is progressing against a client deadline. And so if I go ahead and click Save, what's going to happen now, when I go ahead and filter this work just by projects, so by using that reminder, that will, not only will the reminder show up in Slack, so it will come from the Slack bot here, but that once I get that reminder, that that's a good key for me to go into QBOA and actually look at this project to see, oh, it looks like 3 out of 8 tasks have been completed. And so that's a really, accountants have told us that's a really good indication of like when they need to jump in and accelerate some things if they're running behind on a given client deadline. Awesome. So that is it for the live demo Slack. As I mentioned, we're going to start rolling this out just to a few accountants. And over the next few weeks, once we get that app approval finalized from Slack, we'll be rolling this out to everybody. So the next one I want to dive into is what we're calling firm work. So as I mentioned, we rolled out the work tab inside of QBOA where we have a lot of workflow management and practice management capabilities. So that was back in May. And one of the single biggest pieces of feedback we've gotten is that a third of the work that I do is internal and it's not specific to a particular client. And why that's a problem is because when we built the first version of workflow management, it's required that every project or task be assigned to a client. And so what we're doing is essentially removing that guardrail to enable firms to create and view work that's not assigned to a client. So the rollout is on this one is going to begin early next week. And we anticipate having 100% of QBOA firms worldwide on this new experience after the first week of May. This is coming very soon. I'm just a quick view of what this looks like before we jump into the demo. If you're in the Work tab inside of QBOA and you click Create Project, what you're going to see is that there's going to be some additions to this drop-down. You can see that there's a My Firm option at the top. So pretty simple, lightweight design here, but hopefully it's going to go a long way in helping you manage your firm work. Great, let's jump into the demo. So I've got another QBOA account open here. I'm going to go ahead and click Create Project. Let's call this monthly training. So I know this is something I hear a lot from your peers that you know, there's always a lot of rigor and focus on ensuring that my staff is getting the proper training, so they're staying up to date with everything that's new in QuickBooks and all of that. So as I click the firm or client dropdown, you can see that first of all, this header used to say client, and now we've got firm or client. So last month we released the Quick Add feature, which enables you to add a new client to your QBO. I'm sorry, add a new client to your QBOA without a QBO subscription with just a couple of clicks. Now this feature is this My Firm option. So I can just select My Firm. I pick a due date like I always do. I can assign this to me or someone on my staff. Super simple. And so I just created some work for my firm, not assigned to a client. If I go to the filter here where I want to customize the view of the work on my work dashboard here, you can see that there's also some differences here. So now we have some filters that enable you to filter the work by clients only, firm only, or just see everything. So we can see that I just created some firm work here. So if I filter by only firm, I can see that this is here. And hey, I'm going to duplicate because, you know, I've got some training I need to do too. So I can do that with just a couple clicks, assign that to myself. And now we've both got some training to do here that you can see that is work that's specific to the firm only. If I go back to all, now I can see everything. And then I can also go filter work by just see the things that I'm assigned or see the things that my staff is assigned. So this is deleting clients from your client list. So some of the feedback that we've heard from accountants is that, you know, represented by these two quotes here. So one is, I'm worried that I'll be accused of wrongdoing because I still have access to the books for a former client. Another piece of feedback is that I don't want to be reminded of a client relationship dissolved years ago. So a lot of just, pain here by having a client list that's muddied by clients that you're no longer supporting. So what we've built is enable you to actually just permanently delete that client. And just to go over the specifics, because I know there's always a lot of questions when I talk to accountants about this. Just to get really specific, one is that it does remove your access to that client's QBO data. So an easy way to think about this is it works very much in the same way as when the client removes your access to their books. It will also remove access to any trial balance data that you have in QBOA if you're doing tax prep for that client. The one caveat there is that if you do try to delete a client and you do have trial balance data for them, we will surface a warning to ask you if you really want to delete that client. Next, it does also remove that client from ProConnect Tax Online if you're doing taxes for your clients as well, because those client lists are synced. And finally, it does not remove any data you have in your firm books. So if you have invoiced that client in the past, and you have some data in your firm books, in your own QuickBooks that you use to manage your business, none of that data will be lost. And as far as release timing, this is actually already rolled out to everybody. We rolled it out in, I said mid-Feb, but it was actually rolled out in mid-March. I apologize. There's a typo there. Awesome. So I'm going to quickly show you, this is just a quick screenshot. I'm going to show you where to access this, but you can see that in the upper right-hand corner, there's a drop-down there, and we've got this delete permanently option. All right, let's go into my last demo here. I've got a ton of accounts open. All right, lovely. So this is yet again another QBOA account. Let's say in this case, Leona of Leona's Landscaping has decided to go in another direction for whatever reason. Our relationship didn't work out. So I've got some data here, but I want to go ahead and remove Leona from my client list. So I click on Leona's Landscaping to get into the client details. And then I'll go ahead and click the drop down here and delete permanently. And so you can see the call out that I made that I actually have some trial balance data here, and so that's why this warning pops up. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Let's delete Leona. So if I come over to I actually have to refresh the client page there, but you can see that Leona is now removed from my client list. The one caveat that there is still kind of a backdoor if you make a mistake. If you still want to, let's say you decide, hey, there actually is some tax data that I want to have in ProTax Online for that client. One area where they're not going to be removed is if you go into the team permission and go into client access, there's still a way to bring that client back. So you can see that Leona's Landscaping is still an option here. So if I give access to Leona, you can see that she comes back. But the catch here is that I don't have access to Leona's QBO data. There's no QBO account connected to this client that's now on my client list. But the benefit of that is that you would get them back in your ProConnect Tax Online list in case you have any tax data that you need to access for that client. So that is it. We've got heard a lot of positive feedback from that feature so far from accountants and others being caused there. But again, just to kind of circle back, these 3 features that I demoed for you today really accretive to our vision of creating, one place, QBOA, for you to manage all of your work and all your clients across all your practice. and we definitely have partnered extremely closely with you and your peers to develop these experiences. So we're excited about them. We hope you are as well.
I'm going to go ahead and remind you about that handout. And there are the links that we covered today in the webinar. They are available for you in that handout. All of these links, they are clickable links in the handout. I do want to thank you again for attending today. Remind you that we do have the Accountants Help Hub. There's an accountant blog link that's also in that handout. Links to the YouTube channel, our online feature request site that we went over at the beginning of the webinar. These links will be emailed out to you as well as being in the handout. Thank you again for attending. My name is Wayne Daly. I'm your host for the In the Know webinar. This is April 26, 2018, and we'll see you next month on May 30th. Don't forget to go to the In the Know webinar hub to sign up for the next event. Thank you so much.